See, that's the thing about illusionary solutions. They seem appropriate and beneficial to one who is geared towards the illusionary world that it serves. When you and I are focused on our interaction in the body, with the body on the physical plane, somebody providing a service or a magical solution to us as to how we can better move within the body on that plane, it becomes interesting to us. It becomes intriguing to us. Sometimes it becomes a necessity to us. I'm just trying to tell you the real. Hiding or trying to pretend to be less than the full expression of who you were created to be, whole, perfect, and abundant, at peace, and with joy. It's never going to lead you to satisfaction. It's never going to lead you to fulfillment. It's never going to lead you to true success. It may lead you to some places where you have things that other people who walk inside of the same darkness that you carry get to the point where they envy you or they want what you have. And you work really, really hard every day that you wake up to make sure that they never get what you have and that you never lose what you have. So we know that whatever it is that you have, that you and them are obsessing over, can't be something of truth. Because if it was, you wouldn't have to worry about losing it. Right? Never put too much trust in your friends, Robert Greene says. And that's a loaded statement. But I just have a simple question to begin, and that is, what is too much trust? How do you measure trust? If I extend some of my trust to you, but I withhold certain aspects where I don't believe what you say, and I rely solely on what I can observe and interpret based on my observations and perspective, can I still say I trust you? Like, what is it to say I trust you some? To say I trust you some is to say I don't trust you. Right? If I'm in my head questioning the validity of what you say or questioning the integrity that you move with when you're not in front of me, I can't say I kind of trust you. I mean, I can say whatever I want, and that's our problem. We just be saying stuff. But there's no accurate basis for me to say I kind of trust you. The accurate analysis would be for me to say, as I'm concerning myself with vain imaginations of what you could possibly be doing in my absence that you said you never would, the honest assessment would be for me to say, I don't trust you. And it's probably not personal. I probably don't trust myself. I probably don't trust anybody. I probably have a paradigm about people that does not allow for me to gain a perspective of them being honest and trustworthy for me to even extend trust to you. I probably don't even live outside of the ego and imaginary realm of fantasy that the ego belongs to for me to have an awareness of what trust is. Do you know what trust is? Or do you just have an imagination of what you think it is? See, because an insecure man or an insecure woman in a relationship would tell you that they trust you and then get an inkling in the middle of the night and go through your phone and see that you're having illicit conversations with someone that you're not supposed to, and come back and tell you that on those bases they are disconnecting themselves from your life, and they knew all along that they should have never trusted you. No, the statement is, I knew all along, or I should have known all along, that I never trusted you. Because had I trusted you, I would not have launched an investigation. You're going to always find what you're expecting, even if you have to create it, even if you have to become delusional to be correct. We love to be right. When I was a kid, I put family or foe across my collarbone because I was aware that the concept of friends was kind of weird. Like, we either family or we on opposite teams. And now, in the realm of truth, I understand that any enemy, any opposition that I experience, I created by my belief in it being against me, when nothing could harm me or bring me detriment. I'm God's child. I'm a creation of the Most High, and I'm aware of such. So I conduct myself as such, and assumptions like I can die. Somebody might murder me. Things happen. Bad things happen to good people. I'm exempt to those theories and those concepts because they cannot harden into fact based on my assumption and my partnership with that assumption. I don't believe in those things. I do not endorse such doctrines. I only push and promote the truth. I only expect truth to flow. When miracles are not happening, I'm confused because I understand that miracles are natural to life. When good things are not flowing freely towards me in abundance, I'm looking for what's off, what's wrong, because that is the natural design of life for one who comes from the Creator. It hasn't always been this way. You can look at where you are in life and you can see what it is that you expected if you're honest with yourself. You can look at your life and you can see what it is that you expected out of life. You can see what you expected out of people. You can see who it was that you thought would stay, who it was you thought would leave, who you thought was genuine, who you thought was phony, who you thought would be talking about you behind your back. Because even when them people wasn't sometimes, even when they were just expressing themselves and they thought that you would understand what was being said factually in your absence, and you made it seem like, oh, look, I knew they was going to be one day talking about me behind my back just like such and such. You had an association in your head where you expected them to carry out in the present something that somebody else did in the past, and that's what happened. It hardened into fact. You created it. I understand that they did it. I understand that their body is what you set your attention on, and you saw them do it, so they must be guilty. But if you would stop for 1 minute and turn your vision towards yourself, stop judging and critiquing everybody else, stop looking at what you have created with the conversation on the inside of you, and turn your attention on the conversation inside of you so that you can hear the correlation between what you see. And once you hear the correlation between what you see, it becomes terribly easy to change the conversation. It breaks your heart, for sure. But we don't go into that process alone. We go into that process with I am. We go into that process with the Holy Spirit who is on the inside of us, telling us that we can never be lost. We will never be forsaken. We are never too far to be brought back home. We're never justified to be dealing with things like guilt, shame, condemnation, the persecution that we have grown accustomed to is only present in the fantasy land where we try to make everything what we want it to be and do what we want it to do. We get caught up dealing with people and trying to force them to play roles in our lives that they never signed up for, follow scripts that they've never even seen. And because of this constant fixated mentality where we always think we know what's best for ourselves, even though we have never got it right before, we continue to go in circles experiencing more of the same. Believing things like we should not extend too much of our trust to our friends, as if our trust can be fractioned and divided. But in a divided experience, we believe everything can be divided. We believe that love is whole, but I can divide my love between my children, my spouse, my significant other, my mistress, my mother, my siblings, and I'm dividing it as it should be proportioned, and I'm giving each and every one of these people that I say I love fully a fraction of myself, and I'm calling myself present. It's time for you to get off of your little fake definitions. A friend in ancient texts is one that's said to be closer than a brother, one that extends to you the same love and free gift of union and partnership as a brother, but for no other reason than they want to. Not because you guys were born relatives, not because you come from the same background and you share common trauma, or you have the same parents or one of the same parents. No, this is a friend. You have a ton of relatives. Some of your mother's children, some of your father's children are not your friends. Some of your cousins are not your friends. It's time for us to reconcile with words. It's time for us to reconcile with the truth of definitions. Stop interpreting things to mean what you would like them to mean or think they mean. Gain understanding. You are a student of life. You have to inquire. Stop making so many statements of ignorance. You say period after you learn. They say period before they know. Learn how to use your enemies. Learn how to use the people who set themselves against you, because you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about the people that dislike you and want to harm you and want to bring you into destruction. So you might as well play the game with them. You might as well spend time on the inside of yourself, taking their strategies and making them work for you. That's what this realm of intellect, this realm of logic and reason at the highest level. I respect Robert Greene so much. He's such a great thinker, such a great author, such a great writer. I think I've read just about everything he's written and published. But when one reaches the part of life where he enters the state of Paul, where everything that he thought he knew and everything that he once valued becomes as boo-boo, becomes as caca, becomes of no value, becomes idiotic and becomes empty and becomes just vain words and repetition, then documents like the 48 Laws of Power that tell us that we have enemies that we should use to our advantage because they are often of more benefit than our friends. We can stop and assess this from a truth lens and make the proper corrections to our interpretation to document and still be able to take in a beautiful piece of literature. First thing I want us to be open and honest about is anybody that you do not extend yourself to fully, completely, and freely is not your friend. It's not your family. They're actually your enemy. They're actually somebody you've set yourself against, even if you never put your hands on them, because remember, you're not your body and they are not their body. If they are walking in an absence of awareness of the presence of love in their life, and you disconnect yourself in action and in thought, and you extend nothing of the truth of yourself to them, you're their enemy. You are working against them. You are their opposition. If you stand in front of them and you talk about them or you give them negative interaction to intake, you are their enemy. You are trying to tear down God's creation. You are not only their enemy, you have become God's enemy because you have set yourself against something that God sustains and God created. Remember, down here on this divided plane, we carry ideas of partiality. We carry ideas where, like, you can extend some of your trust to someone. If you're extending some of your trust, if you're withholding any of your trust, you're not giving them your trust. If you're withholding any of yourself, you're not giving them yourself. If you're withholding any of your love, any of your compassion, any of your honesty, you're not giving them these things. To give someone something partially is to not give it to them. We got to get concrete about concrete issues, or else we're going to constantly be shifty as Barry Sanders going down a football field. And you think you're evading the accountability and the acknowledgement of the dysfunction to other people. Every time you defend yourself against the truth, the true reality of your actions of error, you strengthen the ego's reign. Use your enemies, Robert Greene said. What enemies? What oppositions do you have other than the lies and illusions that you partner with and give your creative power to, that ultimately manifests in the physical to show you the error of your thinking? You only have one enemy, and that's the ego that you love so much and cater to, the one you pamper and baby and pacify, the one you constantly set out to satisfy. This is the only enemy that you have. Every appearance of another to be an enemy stems from your partnership with your true enemy, the father of all illusions, your ego. So where's the truth in it? Don't extend too much trust to your friends. It's impossible, because I'm either extending myself fully and freely or not at all. But there's a difference between extending myself fully and freely in relationship to one who is my friend and growing dependent and reliant and obsessive over someone who I believe or think I need. And anybody that needs me to need them, anybody that would like for me to need them, anybody that drives a narrative of illusion that I carry that I need them is not my friend. They are just as delusional and just as broken and insecure and carry the same absence of awareness to truth that I do. You don't need anybody, and you don't need anybody to need you. It's much more powerful to be wanted, but you can only see the power in being wanted over being needed when you carry the security to be able to trust that another person actually wants you and will stay based on their desire to do so. See, you know about necessity. You know about lack. You know about supply and demand. But do you trust love? Or do you try to extend some of your trust to love and then become a detective and then play judge and then become a warden? And now you're bitter and you're broken and you be saying weird things to people who be trying to be nice to you. It's a choice, and you should really see it. You should see that you become everything that you say hurt you and broke you. When you operate from a place of brokenness based on an experience from the past, you extended yourself freely to somebody who played with your heart, and now somebody stands in front of you extending themselves freely to you, and you play with their heart because of your fear and your partnership with a past experience. You don't have any enemies, but there is a way that you can utilize those who have seemingly set themselves in opposition to you. Anyone who seems to be against you is a reflection of an inner dysfunction that you carry, an inner miscalculation that you're discussing on the inside of yourself. There's something off in your interpretation. When you're looking over at that person that you have identified as an enemy, you need to ask yourself, what judgment have you passed that has superseded the label of God's creation? Why don't you see another you when you look over there? What did they do that made you label them something else? What did they say? And as you do this, you can go back and you can find where you lost the truth of their identity in your interpretation, in your perspective of their actions. You don't get to watch somebody do one thing and determine who they are and label them something based on that. That person that I think is my enemy is in me. They're a reflection of a part of me that I'm blind to. And that's what I have a distaste for. I have a distaste for the dysfunction that they are exposing. And their dysfunction is not a picture of the inner dysfunction that they carry alone. They were drawn to me like a magnet to show me a piece of myself that I was overlooking so that I could return to my perfect design, whole and complete. Stop kicking your character references out of your life thinking that you're getting rid of your burdens and you're getting rid of the people who are causing you drama and pain. How many people have you kicked out of your life and you still haven't reached a place of peace? You still haven't entered the throne room where joy and thanksgiving reign. And you have had countless of encounters with people that you thought were going to be forever figures in your life. And then ultimately one day you found yourself quoting a scripture that you probably ain't never set eyes on and can't even tell me what part of the Bible it came from. Talking about some people are for a season and some people for a lifetime. Can't even get it right. Don't even know how it go for real. But it's hard to cater to the ego because the ego is a bum. And by bum, I mean the ego has no home. The ego goes wherever it is served and wherever the idea of it being real is being promoted. Has no home, no loyalty, no knowledge, no connection with truth, no point of reference for anything. And you blindly follow the blind guy, the blind girl. Your ego is not fit to lead. If I told you to get in your car and find the first person who had a sign in their hand begging for money today in the heat, and I told you to go and follow that person, don't show up to your job tomorrow. Go and sit beside that person and tell that person you are dedicating your time and your life to following them and learning their ways. You tell me I was crazy. But that is the picture of what it looks like to follow your ego. And I'm telling you, you crazy. Don't follow dude. Don't follow her. She goofy. He be having you looking goofy.